Hi, everyone. I guess this is a good time to start. I see quite a few attendees have joined us, and I will let them join us as they are ready. So let's get started with our very first fireside chat. Welcome. Thank you for taking the time to join us. Um, this is the very first session hosted by MEMPC. And if you have not heard of MEMPC before, we are Master of Engineering Management Programs Consortium. And we have MEM or Master of Engineering Management programs from 9 of the leading universities in the US as members of this consortium. And you can check out the MEM programs as part of MEMPC at www.mempc.org. Just a little bit about MEMPC. I mean, MEMPC was formed with the goal of increasing awareness about the Master of Engineering Management degree with prospective students and employers, and also sharing best practices in EM education with its members. The goal for this fireside chat for us is to showcase the strength and versatility of the degree by showcasing our amazing alumni, while also building a community of MEMPC students and alumni. So I want to extend a very warm welcome to our inaugural speaker for this series, Aditi Patade. Aditi is currently a global supply analyst with Tesla and also an alumna of Duke's MEM program. So welcome, Aditi.
Thank you, Rutu. Excited to be here.
Yes, we are so excited to have you. And let's get started. Would you like to tell us a little bit about your background and your current role, and how has it been working for Tesla?
Sure. I am originally from India. So I did my bachelor's in instrumentation and control, BTech in engineering degree from Pune, College of Engineering, Pune. And then I started working with India's leading oil and gas producers, Reliance Industries Limited. So I was in manufacturing and supply chain for a while. And then 2 years down the lane, I came across Duke's engineering management program. So I joined Duke in August 2021, and then graduated last year, December 2022. Started working with one of world's largest automakers, EV manufacturers, Tesla. So far, it's been a roller coaster journey, full of new experiences and learnings. But yeah, so that is my overall journey so far. Looking forward to more learnings.
Oh, thank you so much. And just to get us started, how did you learn about MEM? Were you always interested in MEM, or were you thinking of always doing a graduate degree?
When I started my engineering education, 2 years down the lane, I realized I didn't want to be in a technical role all the time. So when I got an offer from Reliance, I already knew that this was more of a techno managerial role. I worked in that role, but always at the back of my mind, I wanted to have a higher education, a master's degree, but also something which will help me improve my communication, my management, a little bit of technical and business acumen. And I came across MEM program through my friends, and then I saw their LinkedIn profiles and where they had landed. And then it kind of interested me because I could see people going into these techno managerial roles with 2 to 4 years of experience, and that's where I thought I aspired to be. And then I came across Duke's MEM program. I saw people were going in not only into product but supply chain consulting roles. Then I checked Duke's beautiful location in Durham, North Carolina, and then I knew that this is where I wanted to be. So yeah, it's a combination of, I would say, intuition, data, dreams. So yeah.
That is amazing, and you're right. A lot of our students come to us because they want to be in techno managerial role, right? And our hope is to spread the word about MEM with as many engineers interested in techno managerial roles as possible, um, so that they know that we are an option for them to move up the ladder, right? So this is perfect, and it is really, really great to see you grow and succeed in a career in supply chain. Um, before I ask my next question, just a logistical thing for all our attendees. If you have a question for Aditi, please let us know using the Q&A tab. We have somebody monitoring the tab. And if you find a question particularly interesting that somebody's already asked, then please, I believe you have the ability to upvote as well. So we will try and get to as many questions as possible towards the end of the session. But if you can at least let us know what questions you have in the Q&A tab, that would be really, really helpful. Perfect. So back to our chat, Aditi. So it is, as I said, it is really great to see somebody grow and succeed in a career in supply chain management. Um, do you think, or did you find that the MEM degree and the coursework and the skills prepared you for a career in supply chain? And what are the most important skill sets for somebody wishing for to grow in a career in supply chain?
Thank you for the kind words, Ritu. As you said, supply chain, it's a challenging field because there's always going to be supply demand gaps and issues with that. I would say MEM as a degree helps you enhance your personality skills, right? Because when I looked at courses on Duke or any other university website, there's a combination of some data courses, technical courses, but along with that, we have courses like negotiations, competitive strategies, product management for beginners. And I am specifically talking about Duke courses, but I'm sure there would be similar courses with different universities. So if you look at these courses, they are trying to help us build a skill set which is rich in technical skills when I talk about all these technical courses. At the same time, they're helping us build these communication skills. And when I joined Tesla, I realized communication is the key to succeed in any job, right? Be it in personal or professional life. So, MEM as a degree, I would say, has helped me build these communication skills, which are an important part of any student's personality, because as a student, you are not really aware of how um, these simple skills are going to help us in the long run. To give you some examples, I remember marketing and competitive strategies at Duke. We would always have a presentation every week or maybe once in a month. That was always coming out of my comfort zone, because when you're presenting in front of a class, you're going to be nervous. You have to work in teams, prepare a presentation, but that is what we do in a corporate role every day. You have to communicate on a daily basis with different teams, cross-functional teams, present your data. So MEM as a degree helped me at least get started on these skills. Moving on to your second question, what skill sets? Based on my short experience so far, I would say I can categorize a person's skills into these three fields. As I said, supply chain management, there's always supply and demand gaps. So there's a lot of data coming in. So you will really need some good data analysis skills, be it Excel, Python, or any other visualization dashboard. Somebody who is able to read, analyze, and make some informed decisions based on that data uh, can succeed in this role. The second I would say is communication skills, because this is a very people-centric role. You, as a supply chain manager, procurement manager, or as a quality manager, you're dealing with engineering, manufacturing, people on the shop floor, people from sales teams, suppliers. So this is a very people-centric role. So definitely writing and verbal communication skills. And third, I would say, is problem solving, because you will get a call from one of your cross-functional or suppliers and they'll say, hey, this part is out of stock and you don't know what to do. So you have to go back to the root cause, understand what happened. So I would say problem solving in terms of understanding the root cause, getting in touch with the right people, asking the right questions. So on a high level, data analysis, communication, and problem solving skills.
That's amazing. And that's amazing how a lot of the techno managerial roles have similar skill set requirements, if you will. And it's kind of good to hear you outline them so succinctly. And I think my question builds up on what you've just talked about communication and people skills. I know one of the other focus of MEM is also leadership skills. And how did the developing leadership skill play into A, your career development, and then B, your current role at Tesla?
Right, very true. Yes, one of MEM's goals is to provide this platform of leadership skills. So I would say I really got a nice opportunity to represent Duke when I started the supply chain management club at Duke. It was a very new baby club, I would say, where we were just forming a team, understanding the vision, uh, get on some projects involving with industry, collaborating with people from the industry. So this particular experience of leading a club where I was leading a team of 5 fellow friends, colleagues, helped me build some basic leadership skills. Because as a leader, I would say you need to have those, again, technical management skills, but at the same time, emotional intelligence. Again, emotional intelligence being a part of your core personality at a company's forefront as well. So I would say this particular experience where I had to have difficult conversations with the team members if somebody is not working, not putting in equal efforts, then having a vision, taking the team together and working as a team, understanding the differences. So that is where this part came in, where I could understand everybody's strengths and weaknesses and help build a team which was uh, full of potential and help help the club reach to a point where we started. So I would say this experience in terms of understanding people was very important, because when I am dealing with problems on a daily basis, I am dealing with people. So that was one experience. The second, I would say, was Duke's 540 class. I know a lot of people talk about this class once they graduate from Duke. We don't realize the importance or the value of this class when we were studying at Duke. I mean, the actual importance. Of course, we completed the assignments, we interacted with professors, participated in team assignments. So, for people who are not from Duke, I would like to give you some background on this course. The course name was Management in High Tech Industries. If we look at it from high level, we would say this is more about managing or maybe business case studies and all of that. But this was a complete non STEM course, purely based on dealing with people. So, when I say dealing with people, again, it means having difficult conversations with your managers or cross functional teams. If you don't agree with a person who is 10 years senior to you, how do you communicate that to him or her in a way that you're not disrespecting him or her, but you're just putting in a different perspective? So, having those difficult conversations, coming out of your comfort zone to reach out to your manager and tell him that, hey, this is something which I am not interested in, or I need some more guidance on. As a student, we're very much protected in a shell, but when we come out of that student life and start working in the corporate field, I think this course really is helping me and will help me in the long run, because dealing with people, difficult conversations, it's a part of everyday conversations, everyday corporate life. So, in a nutshell, I would say these two experiences really helped me from Duke's journey. One was leading the club, dealing with people, and then the second was the 540 class, which I took at Duke.
That is amazing. It sounds like an amazing class, Aditi, and those are such valuable lessons. And would you say that it kind of you use the learnings from that class like every day in your role right now?
Yes, I would say almost once or twice a week, because and then there's no bias or any sort of discrimination here, but I'm pretty sure a lot of people would know that automotive industry is highly male dominated. So being a female working in a male dominated industry, a lot of the times I have to voice out my opinion. Otherwise, if I don't speak up, the answer is always taken as a yes. So yes, I would say these assignments, these skills are helping me on a regular basis, um, because as an employee, even if you're a very small contributor to the project, I think it's important that you state out your opinions. Uh, your voice matters. So yeah, if you are taking up this class or any other class, I would like to pass on this suggestion to all of my fellow friends here, that don't leave any opportunity wherever you get a chance to speak up, because that is going to help us all in the long run.
So that is so true. And I think I want to add another aspect to your current role, right? So your background was in supply chain prior to joining Duke MEM, but it was in oil and gas, right? And now you're doing supply chain in automotive. That's a completely different field. So A, how has it been working in a new field? And B, how was your experience trying to pivot and trying to find a job in this new domain?
That is a good question, Rutu. I was very nervous when I started interviewing for Tesla, because I knew that I'm going to change fields, changing industries. It's not an easy job. But I think something which has helped me in this journey, and I am going to stick to that, is having a growth mindset. So when I was interviewing with my panel, I was constantly in this mindset that I am ready for change. I am ready to pick up new skills, understand industry challenges, be it oil and gas, be it automotive, semiconductor. I think the skills which you learn in one industry, at least basic technical and people skills, are relevant in every other industry, but the challenges, they are going to differ. But the problem solving and dealing with people skills, those are going to still say remain the same. So that is what I showcased in my interview, where I was very confident on letting the team know that, hey, I am going to understand the industry challenges. So before I am on board on the job, I will ensure that um, I have knowledge of the industry, the competition, what Tesla is working on. Um, and yes, once I am on board, give there's always a learning curve, say 2 or 3 months in the beginning, and then your experience and your skills are going to be relevant in any other industry.
That's perfect. I think if you for any student who's joined a graduate program, having that kind of growth mindset is absolutely important, as it is important to keep an open mind about where you end up post MEM as well, right? So how was it trying to find a job in a different domain than where your previous background was? Was it scary? Are there any things that particularly worked really well for you that you would recommend to to our audience?
I think overall, being an international student in the US is scary, because every time you're coming out of your comfort zone, there's different struggles. But in the end, I think no one size fits all. I've seen my friends applying different strategies. For me, LinkedIn worked. I started reaching out to recruiters and people in the industry on LinkedIn. But at the same time, I was applying on company portals. I was applying on career fair websites, reaching out to friends from different universities. Um, so, something which I started with was understanding what the job role is, what the job description is, and what kind of candidate are they looking for. Then trying to match it with my skill sets, my experience. And even though the industries were different, but how would these skills be applicable for that job? So trying to tailor my resume and my um, profile to this job description, and creating a strong case where the recruiter or the hiring manager would really be happy to hire me, or at least interview me. So I would say, for anybody looking for jobs or trying to change fields, it's important that we are not just randomly or blindly applying to different jobs, but actually putting in some effort on our resumes, people we are networking with, uh, and asking the right questions. So, yeah, these were some basic things which I started with, but I know no one size fits all, as I said. For some people, LinkedIn really worked. LinkedIn premium subscriptions worked. For some people, networking worked. For some, they got a direct call from applying on the company portals. Some people received a call from career fairs. So I would say that try everything, have a list of your target companies, have a deadline. That is how I started. I had a list of all the companies I wanted to apply to. I kept an eye on what job roles they are trying to open up frequently. So I had a list of all the job roles I thought I would be a good fit for, the link, and then kind of a deadline which I was targeting for. So have your own tracker, keep networking, uh, update your resume on a regular basis.
Yeah, it sounds like your data analytics portion of your personality kind of spilled into the job search as well to make sure that you had the right data before you actually acted on it, which is amazing. And I know you and I met at a SWE conference a couple of years ago. So how would you, I mean, this is obviously fall, which is when all the conferences and all the career fairs are happening. How was your experience at SWE, or would you recommend students to use such resources like conferences like Gracehopper or SWE, or even SHIP for that matter?
Yeah, I remember Rutu meeting you in Indianapolis, the windy day. Yes, I would say the end goal of attending any conference or networking should never be seeking a job. This, I think I've realized it in the last 6 months, because at the end, you're trying to connect with a person on a very individual level. So, networking just for the sake of networking, no, not a good strategy. Really understanding what is that connection which is helping you both build that network. So, understanding a person, where they came from, their journey, um, what are they interested in, how your skill sets can help this person, and how this can help you grow. That is what a good network is going to be. So I would say these conferences like SWE, Grace Hopper, I've seen people meeting experts in their field, networking with the right set of people. So that's a very great platform to network. Um, then I would say networking would be the first intention of attending a conference. The second then would be job applications, because these conferences at the end of the day, or say second or third day, they would have career fairs all along the day. So that is a good opportunity to at least get in touch with the recruiters or the hiring managers. Even if they are not looking for someone immediately or like a student role, you can always have their details or cards and reach out to them on a later stage. And I know these conferences are sometimes expensive, but at least attending one of them, depending on where you want to be and which field. So there are conferences which are applicable to certain fields, right? So which conference suits you best, and then applying to these, going to these, taking help from your university coordinators. I think these are great platforms to network and build connections.
Perfect. And now that you are on the other side, like now you have a role that you absolutely enjoy doing, what advice do you have for our current students who have joined us for this session? Just in terms of making the most of their MEM experience, but then also finding the internship and the job, as you know, that probably is number one a lot on a lot of people's minds.
Right. I would start with again having a growth mindset. I think that really helps us. Even though you're coming from, say, product management, software engineering, manufacturing background, um, don't have that as a roadblock that, hey, I have experience in this field. How can I transition? How can I move to different industries? But just having that growth mindset where you are ready to take on new challenges, build new skill sets, and projecting that when you're networking or maybe in an interview. That would be my first small piece of advice. Second, I would say whenever we as a student, we are trying to network with people from different industries, usually we start with LinkedIn. So me personally, sometimes I think that I get like 50 connection requests every week. And then somebody who is working in the industry, let's say for 20 years, they would be getting 1,000 or 2,000 connection requests every week. So how do you stand out? I would say with a customized message, what are you really looking forward to? Are you looking forward to mentoring, or just connect with this person or just a referral or just for the sake of networking. So be very specific, clear in your messages and the right set of people you are reaching out to. I know people are busy, but there are still a huge chunk of people who want to network, provide guidance to students. I've been in that journey where I was on the other side. Now I'm on the other side. I always try to respond to people's messages, but something which typically stands out is somebody who is very clear and succinct in what they're really looking for, right? And then that also gives me some motivation to work with them and really provide them what they are looking for. So yes, I would say first is to have a growth mindset as a student and even when you are on the job. Second is networking should be in a strategic way, but not just for the sake of networking or getting a job, but really putting in those genuine efforts to build that connection.
Perfect. Those are very well said words of advice. And I know the students will hear them quite often. But I guess here's one more person telling you about how to build meaningful networks. And you build the networks before you would actually need them. Because trying to build a network when you need them is probably already too late. Right. So thank you. Thank you so much for sharing those tips and advice. Those are the questions I had for you. I see a couple of questions rolling in from the Q&A, and Rebecca Kelly from Duke has been helping us monitor the questions so we can concentrate on our chat. Hi, Rebecca.
Hi.
What are some of the questions you're seeing?
So you've touched on a lot of them. So the first one is how important was networking and getting your job? So, but it sounds like you use LinkedIn, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But I can answer that question like so the question is how important is networking to get a
Yeah.
job, right?
And
Yeah.
can I also add another nuance to it was how important is networking within your, say, university network or going outside the university network? Maybe if you have experience either way, could you share about that?
Sure. So yes, I started networking when I joined Duke. I was reaching out to people from different industries, but at the end, something which worked for me was LinkedIn. I reached out to the recruiter, then they forwarded my resume to some other recruiter, and that is how I got my interview. But the people I was networking with, nobody interviewed me from that network. So it's not only networking not for the sake of getting a job, but just to understand that where the industry is going, what are some of the skills hiring managers are looking for when us young people, students are getting hired, what they're looking for is we bring in a new perspective, we bring in change because we come from this new age, new era of energy and different softwares and platforms. So I would say networking is important not only to find a job, but also in the long run. Maybe it didn't help me in the first 2 years, but if I have to switch fields again, if I have to move to a different role, this is where my network is going to help me. Um, yeah, then to answer your question, Rutu, networking within your university from and also with people from other universities, this helps when you don't have visibility on their career fairs. So if you have friends outside of your university, you can reach out to them, their career counselors, and attend their career fairs. So sometimes a few companies might attend Duke's career fair, but then you could have some different companies attending some other career fairs. So if you're targeting a specific company and you know that your friend is telling you that they have a career fair on some other day, that is where networking from other universities is going to help you. Or just trying to understand courses that, hey, I have this course, but I have this course. So Duke and some other university, you're trying to collaborate on some skill sets. So yes, networking from different universities, this is where it's going to come handy.
Yeah, and I believe Duke being in the research triangle, I think there are some research triangle focused career fairs as well, right? Which may not be just part of the university network, but open to everybody within the research triangle area. So I guess that's the other option for students looking to network and build those connections outside of just the university.
Yeah, I
Rebecca?
just remembered
Go on.
this one experience, just wanted to share this with you. I have had a friend who had 3 to 4 job offers. He accepted one, and for the rest of the 3 offers, he passed his friend's resume to the recruiters. So all of his 3 other friends got it through him. So you never know which network is going to help you where, right? So yeah.
Oh, that's a great story. That is a great story. Rebecca, any more questions?
Yeah, so we have a question about searching for an internship that is in a field in which you have no work experience. Since you sort of have a similar experience, could you give that person advice on searching for an internship for a position in which they have no prior work experience?
Right. So I think this is where the clubs and industry collaborative projects could help. Uh, at least for Duke, and I know a lot of universities have these specific programs where you get a chance to work with industry. So try and pick projects very thoroughly based on where you want to land. So let's say you have a project in strategy, supply chain, and product, and you want to land in supply chain. That is your plan A. So definitely pick a project where you can have these data analysis, communication skills, put that in your resume in a way that it entails with the job description. So in a way, you don't have a very direct supply chain experience, but you have the required skill sets. You have worked on a similar project in your student life, um, in clubs, and that is how you can try entering a new field along with building those networks. I've seen my friends changing fields, from manufacturing to product, from mechanical to product, from software to product. And I've seen them participating in these club activities, doing some external projects, maybe freelancing, or reaching out to someone who is ready to sponsor you for a project and showcasing those in your interview and resume.
Great.
That's awesome. Go ahead,
So
Rebecca.
we have, yeah, one other question is, could you talk about the culture at Tesla, particularly on the business side rather than the engineering side?
Now this is one question I want to hear an answer to, because that was going to be my question if nobody asked.
That is a good question. Culture at Tesla, I would say, one, it's very fast-paced, dynamic. Second, it's innovative. People welcome innovation here. So fast-paced, innovative, get the job done. Third is get the job done. And then to dig in deep, fast-paced, by fast-paced, we mean that you put in all the efforts and then wait for the results. So eventually, usually in traditional companies, if the project timeline looks like 5 years or 6 years, Tesla tries to complete it in 2 to 3 years. So every time you're trying to solve problems, but on a very crunch timeline. So yeah, that is about the fast-paced culture at Tesla. Innovative people welcome innovation if you have a different way of working, bringing in change in those crunch timelines. Even if not for the current program, but they're open to change, maybe for future programs and all. And then third, I would say, is get the job done. So ask the right questions, talk to the right people. It was a bit difficult for me in the first 2 to 3 months, but I started picking up because the environment is like that I'm surrounded by people who are way smarter than me, and I'm always trying to learn from them. So that is how the fast-paced culture at Tesla is.
Yeah, and as you said, right, your voice matters, so always speak up any chance you get. So I guess
Right.
that's a really good piece of advice as well. All right, over to you, Rebecca.
Okay, so how important is your engineering background for your current role at Tesla?
Yes, because I am in a techno managerial role, I would say engineering, nobody's going to teach you the basic engineering concepts, right, once you start your job. So that is where my 4 years of engineering experience helps me understanding the design, the CAD models, If an engineering is trying to share the technical requirements of a product, it's not like something which is out of blue for me. I understand the technical specifications. So I would say it depends on the role, but most of the times, if it's a techno-managerial role, be it software or manufacturing, these are some things when you're interacting with the design or engineering challenges, your engineering background is going to help you. Not on a regular basis, because most of the times I am on the supply chain side where I am dealing mostly with data, supplier contracts and all of these things. But when you are when you're starting on a new project, when you're trying to understand the product, that is where the engineering background is going to help.
Perfect. Do we have more questions?
We have a few more. So, does having previous work experience of 2 years reduce internship opportunities?
That is a different question. No, I don't think so. But looking at it from a different angle, I can try and visualize for someone who has had an experience of 4 or 5 years in a certain domain and then trying to change fields, trying to get an internship, that can be a roadblock there. But again, as I said, it didn't hamper me because I had 1 year of manufacturing experience on the shop floor and 1 year of procurement experience. But I've seen my friends reducing the domain on which they worked for the longest years. So let's say somebody who's worked in software for 5 years, instead of projecting more of your software experience on the resume, try to have projects from product or supply chain on your resume, so that you're kind of projecting that, hey, I worked in software for 4 years, but now I've been picking up on these projects and skill sets. So yeah.
So you're saying it shouldn't, as long as you position it correctly and you frame it correctly in your resume and while you're talking to recruiters, if you will. I know
Right.
sometimes the university recruiters say if you have more than X years of work experience, you're not part of university recruiting. But then I feel like if you always talk to them and say, okay, who should I contact? They are more than happy to make the connection for you, in case that helps answer that question as well, if that was the angle they were coming from.
Right. Yeah.
Perfect. Sorry, I was trying to read the Q&A, but I'm going to leave it to Rebecca.
Okay, so the question is, how do you see the job prospects in your industry, and what are the roles in higher demand?
Okay. So I would say for any company which is building a product, like a tangible product, supply chain is always going to be the backbone of the industry. You can't build a product without raw materials or the components. So in terms of industries, if I am going to talk specifically about automotive, then there's a vast domain because in terms of EV industry, there's batteries, so semiconductors, there's plastics and steel stamping, raw materials, leathers, wheels, rubber. So it's an ocean, right? There's no end to entering supply chain in all these domains. So in terms of job prospects, I would say take any industry, be it logistics, automotive, semiconductor, any industry which is building products. There's going to be different areas and domains where you can land in. Basic knowledge you would have to understand would be the manufacturing process, how the supply chain for that company is looking like, and where you can contribute to. And then what was the follow-up question on that? Higher roles? I'm sorry,
What are the roles in higher demand?
Okay. So in terms of supply chain, I would say there's material planning roles, because as an industry starts growing, there's always this gap between supply and demand, and there's going to be a lot of planning involved in getting the parts shipped on time, having those loaded into the correct inventories and warehouses. So there's planning, then there's supply manager, global supply manager roles, which are more on the procurement side, where you are negotiating with suppliers, closing contracts. So there are a bunch of roles at Apple, Tesla, Amazon, Applied Materials, and many more industries. So you can find roles in procurement which are labeled as global supply managers. Then there's quality manager roles, where you are on not entirely on the shop floor, but it's kind of a role which is between supplier and your employer. So you're coordinating with the supplier as well as your employer. There are industrialization manager and industrialization engineer roles, where again it's a combination of planning, procurement, and quality. So I know that as an entry level, I was not very much introduced to these roles, but these are some top 4 level roles where people with less amount of experience also try and get an entry level role. And as and when you start moving up in your career and ladder, I've seen people switching from planning to global supply managers to even strategy roles. So again, the skill sets are relevant. The skills which you learn in one role are relevant to the other one which you're looking for.
So sorry,
Sorry.
go ahead.
Go ahead, Rebecca.
So if you could go back in time and advise yourself right after undergrad school, what would you say?
Oh, wow. Going back in time, undergrad school, I was a shy girl. I missed on some opportunities, which I tried doing in Duke. That was also one of the reasons I wanted to do masters, because I kind of missed on some opportunities in my undergrad. Even though I learned in my second year that I was not a very technical oriented person, or I wanted to land in a technical job, but I think as an engineer, I should have put in some more efforts to understand the technical background, to understand the engineering in a more depth, in more depth. That is one advice. And second, again, would have been to um, take maximum use of the opportunities which my college presented, be it participating in debate clubs, participating in these techno business events where you are representing your university. So these two top advices. That's a good question.
Okay, so last question, do we need to learn new technical skills like Six Sigma, etc., to get into automobile companies like Tesla?
It's not, even if it is not required, it's not going to do any harm, because the journey does not stop after we graduate from Duke. The journey does not stop once we land a job in Tesla or any other automotive industry. Learning any new skill set, it is going to help us build our confidence when we are interviewing. Of course, it's going to depend on the job and the kind of candidate they're going to look for. But yes, Six Sigma, it's a very common principle which is applied in almost all of the manufacturing industries. So if it does not help for Tesla, maybe it can help for any other company which you are looking for. And again, just because I've been getting a lot of questions focused on Tesla, I would also like to give this advice that even if you get your first job in Tesla, Amazon, or maybe a small company, that is not the end of the journey. That is just the start of the journey. At the end, what matters is what projects you work on, which people you work with, how you're trying to build your skills and project yourself to the world. Even if it's a small company, you can start with that and later on move to a company which you really want to work for, or a specific job title you want to work for. So always be on the lookout and try and gain some skills which you think will help you in the long run.
Ruchi, you want a few more questions?
I have one more question that I want to ask, if that's okay, before we wrap up. I know there's a fun one on the Q&A which says, did you ever get to meet Elon? So I'll let you answer that, Aditi. And then I have a question for you.
Okay. I have heard Elon, he's not a very fanboy moment kind type of a person. He does not like people taking pictures of him or getting close to him and taking signatures and all of those things. Worst thing can happen is he can ask you 10 deep technical questions about your job, and then he will reach out to your manager saying, "Hey, look at your subordinate. She's reaching out to me for an autograph and she doesn't know about her job." So he's a fun person. Sometimes he's a little bit quirky. I didn't get a chance to meet Elon yet, but I keep getting emails from him when he sends out some notices to the entire company as an organization.
Very cool. So it's like a double-edged sword. It's a good thing and a good thing or not so good thing. No, that's perfect. So I think my question was to kind of, I know there has been a lot of question about how has it been working for Tesla, but I wanted to see if you had a memorable experience or a really challenging experience that you handled and you were very proud of that you want to share with us while working at Tesla.
Yes, I am just trying to remember the day I started with Tesla. Day one was like a fun day, and then day two, it's fire, and then you're trying to extinguish that fire. Um, I was working on this one assignment where we had a shortage issue, and I was talking to someone who had 25 years of experience. And I didn't know the problem. I was just jumping into the fire. And then everybody was kind of blaming on each other, finger pointing. And then very calmly, I stepped in and I tried getting all the details. What happened? Who did this? Why did this happen? When did that happen? So, problem solving and dealing with people who are much more experienced than you are, but you're kind of asking the questions in a right way where you are not being impolite to them because you're very new, you're trying to earn that trust. So, yeah, I remember that experience where uh, even though it was a very firefighting kind of a situation, I was trying to handle the situation in a very calm, polite way. And at the end, we were able to reach a solution which helped both the companies, the supplier, and Tesla as well. So I am kind of proud of that experience because when you're very new to the company, you don't know people and what is actually happening. It's a very frustrated state, but even in that state, I was kind of able to handle that very calmly. And I think Tesla is the right platform where if you want to get those experiences on a very regular basis, then yes, Tesla is that kind of company where you have, because it's growing and again it's an automotive industry, so there are pretty much regular instances where you can test these skills.
That is perfect. And that's a really great example. And I was going to add that it sounds like you have those experiences on a very regular basis, if you will. I think it's just the aspect of the industry and the company that you're working with and how fast the company is moving. I know when I worked in mobile devices, we had the same thing. Our product life cycles were 8 months, right? So every
Oh,
8 months, you would be releasing a product at that point. And so if you were not with the flow, asking the right questions at the right time, you were already too late because then, the thing was probably already in production at the time. So it's just a factor of it. So I absolutely understand also the emotions involved, right, in trying to get it right the first time around and still trying to stay objective. But I absolutely appreciate your time. I think that's all the time we have for this fireside chat. Aditi, if people have more questions, can they reach out to you on LinkedIn? Is that okay?
yes, sure. Just as I said, put in some customized message what you're looking for, and sure we can chat more. I would be happy to help anyone who is looking for specific advice or any general questions.
Perfect. And I will add to that one that I have learned that if you put a custom note in your invitation, the next time you try to message the person, the note already shows up in your conversation. So I always try to put in how I met this person and what we talked about so that I would have a memory of it the next time I try to talk to the person, because I know when you're networking, you just meet so many people. So apart from helping the person who gets a connection request, it helps you the next time you try to start a conversation as well.
Very
So
true.
everybody, I think you all have Aditi's LinkedIn in the flyer. If not, I will send it out again. We are recording this session, so I hope to be able to send the recording out at a later date. And you can always refer back to what Aditi has shared with us so far. All right, my wrap up. So thank you so much, Aditi, for being our first speaker for the Fireside Chat series. It was just amazing listening to you talk about your experiences and sharing your valuable insights and tips and A, succeeding in supply chain, B, switching industries, C, all the leadership skills that you need and you've acquired and so forth. Rebecca, thank you so much for finding and choosing Aditi for us. That was really, really awesome. I appreciate all your help as well. And
Thank
also
you.
for moderating the questions. That was so very useful. I think
Thank
we
you. Thank you,
are.
Rutu. Thank you for having me. Thank you, Rebecca. I hope I answered most of the questions. I was a little nervous because I am not a regular panelist for these sessions, but if somebody is reaching out to me for any specific advice, I'm happy to help. Not just for supply chain purpose, but any other issues, just being as an international student in this country, dealing with any other issues, I'm happy to talk about it as well.
You were great. You were great, Aditi. And practice makes perfect. So I know you'll be even better, more amazing if that's possible the next time you are on a panel. And I can't wait to hear you speak again.
Thank you.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for everyone for your time and your Aditi and Rebecca, as well as your time for everybody who's joined us for this fireside chat. Stay tuned. We have more chats coming. We are trying to host this once a month at least, and we will have alumni from different MEMPC programs participating. So keep an eye out for our emails and join us next month. Thank you. Take care,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Bye.